All your favorite wrestling shows rolled into one. Welcome to the We Book It podcast. Let's start the show.
Yeah. What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to another SmackDown, Lowdown, Hold Down, Toe Down, Mow Down, Whoa now, flip it up and down, smack it around, upside down, and bring it around town. That's right. I am your host. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Virgil, here for another episode with each and every last one of you. You guys make this thing happen. So I appreciate each and every last one of you guys. Make sure that you guys like, share, and subscribe so that you never miss any of the action we have going on right here on the We Book It channel. So I am standing in tonight for that man, Teddy Long, who is out on business working. Appreciate you, Teddy. Salute to you, sir. Guys, let's get right down into it because we got a lot to talk about. So SmackDown took place today from the University of South Carolina. Not only that, but the home of none other than that man, Trick Williams. That's right. Whoop that trick. What? Whoop that trick. What? That's right. It's Trick Williams' homecoming, and that's actually how we start the show. After a brief video recapping the events of Backlash, Trick Williams came out to celebrate a homecoming of sorts at the University of South Carolina. Lil Yachty and the team mascot, Cocky, accompanied him to the ring. He gave a promo that made a lot of locals in the crowd happy, and he also explained the origin of his lemon pepper steppers. Surprisingly, The Miz and Kid Wilson came out to spoil the fun. Yachty said The Miz and Wilson were cursed, which inspired Wilson to read some of his slam poetry. Yachty replied with some rhymes that put Wilson to shame. This started out as a relatively average segment for a hometown hero, but it got worse as it went. The jokes didn't land, and the brawl that ended the segment made Wilson and The Miz look even more incompetent than usual. Yachty's inclusion in Williams' story hasn't done much to help him, but it hasn't hurt him either. So at least Trick Willie is getting over from his own charisma and not because he has a celebrity by his side. So listen, first and foremost, Trick Williams and Lil Yachty, the pairing, to me, it works. Does it need to be every week? Not necessarily. Lil Yachty, I know, is training. He eventually is going to try to wrestle a match. I think that's what they're kind of setting up towards here. Is it'll be Miz and Kid Wilson are going to challenge probably Yachty and Trick Williams to a match. Could happen in Italy. Who knows? Like I said, but we'll have to see what happens there. But again, like I said, I don't want too much on Trick Williams in the way of, additives to him. Like, just let Trick be Trick. The crowd is organically turning him babyface, especially since they hate Sami Zayn. So like I said, I think that is one of those things where it's just going to work on its own. Next up, we did have The Miz versus Trick Williams in a match. So The Miz challenged Williams to a match before the break, and it was apparently made official because Michael Cole confirmed it. It will begin after the commercial break. So the United States champion did have the upper hand for most of the match, but the A-lister used some cheap tactics to take control. When Trick Willie regained this momentum, Wilson interfered with a running forearm at ringside. This match lasted through the break into the next segment, and The Miz almost won with a skull-crushing finale. But the champ kicked out. The A-lister attempted to use a kendo stick, but Yachty stole it and used it on Kid Wilson. Williams finished the match with his signature trick shot. This match wasn't bad, but it's hard to call it good. It sort of just existed. But all in all, the crowd loves Trick Willie, baby. And so when you love Trick Wilson, that makes it all the better. Again, like I said, I just think that it's one of those situations where we are seeing a lot of Trick Williams every week. The company is really dependent on him right now to be one of the faces of the company. And like I said, he's doing all right. He's doing all right with it. He's running with it. So still more to be seen. Next up, we have Paige and Brie Bella versus Julia and Kiana James. So the next contest saw Paige and Brie Bella take on Julia and Kiana James in a non-title tag team match. Bro, it's so weird to say that Paige is back in WWE. I just never expected that to happen. And she's back as Paige, not as Soraya. She's back as Paige. She said she wanted to come back as Paige. And she's back. And I mean, kudos to her, man. Like I said, she is doing her thing. Um, so Brie and Kiana started for their teams. Bella was giving up a little size, so James made sure to use that power advantage to score the first takedown of all. Bella and Paige may be the veterans in this showdown, but Julia and James shone just a little bit brighter in this one. They were bumping harder and selling more, but whenever they were in control, they were appeared more aggressive than their opponents. Paige got the win for her team with the Rampage DDT on Keanu James. This was a decent bout, but the possibility of James and Julia having issues was more interesting than the match itself. Could we see a turn there? Could we see Kiana James go off on her own and leave Julia behind? The women's tag team division has plenty of competition, but it needs more stories to tell rather than that. So let's just see how WWE invests in the storylines for this. Hey, shout out to everybody that's tuning in, man. Right now, Nyla, hey, what's going on? Hi, Nyla. Thanks so much. Is that Cuffum? I don't know who Cuffum is, but hello, what's up? And then last but not least, you are a beautiful transgender woman. Well, thank you. I'm not transgender, but appreciate it. Let's get back here to what we have. So Nia Jax and Lash Legend taunted Paige and Brie before the match to hype their Saturday night main event title bout. Very curious to see what happens there. So you're curious to see how Paige and Brie Bella will overcome that. They may not. They may actually end up losing those titles. And honestly, I would give them back to Nia Jax and to Lash Legend. Keep Lash Legend in the mix like that as long as you can before you obviously have to move her to singles competition where she will soon take that United States Women's Championship, probably from Tiffany Stratton. Next up, we had Cody Rhodes came out and he set up a table and chairs in the ring because he wanted Gunther to come out and finally sign his contract. He called out the ring general, and it didn't take him long to appear. Gunther said Rhodes ruined a lot of time and effort to set up his SmackDown deal. He asked Cody to be professional, address him with respect, and say please. Royce Keys then came out and said if Gunther won't sign the contract for a title shot, then he will. He marched to the ring and Rhodes handed him the pin. Gunther slid into the ring just in time to stop him from signing his contract. Nick Aldis showed up and decided to book Keys versus Gunther in a number one contenders match. This was a solid segment to initiate a surprise match for later in the show. All three guys did their job well without making things tough or taking up too much time. Like I said, for me, when I look at that match, I say to myself that I'm proud of Royce Keys. I'm proud of Royce Keys for standing up and for what WWE is doing with him. A lot of people had a lot of things to say about Royce Keys coming over to WWE, and a lot of people thought that he was just going to be main event bound, or that he was going to, they were a lot of people were depressed when they found out he was working house shows instead of being and instead of going down to NXT and building himself up. Well, again, I think he's finding his way and he's finding who he is, and I like it. I like it a lot. Now, this next match is fun, guys. This was a good one. Carmelo Hayes versus Ricky Saints. So earlier in the day, Saints and Hayes had a backstage confrontation that led to them agreeing to have a singles match. Hayes said he was going to humble the SmackDown newcomer. Saints took control with the sneak attack, but Melo was able to regain his footing and get in some offense. This was the first time these two have ever shared a ring in their careers, but they took almost no time at all to develop good in-ring chemistry, which speaks to the skill of both competitors. You could tell both these guys wanted to make a good impression with this match, and they succeeded. Saints played a great antagonist, and Melo had the crowd behind him thanks to his exciting arsenal of moves. Saints was caught by the ref trying to use the ropes for a pin, but Melo got him by getting away with the same trick to get the win. I like that this could very well turn around and lend from the story that Ricky Saints never got a chance to finish on NXT, which is this frenemy storyline. I would not mind these two becoming a tag team and winning the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championships. I think that it would be hella entertaining to have Ricky Saints and Carmelo Hayes be a tag team and constantly week after week try to outshine each other because they both have a crazy arsenal of moves. They both have great talent. There's a lot that you could do with them. I would love to see these two become that type of a tag team. And I think they could even go on the tag team title run. I think it would be good to see. Shinsuke Nakamura tried to talk to Tama backstage, but Tala attacked him and put him through a table. Like I said, it was also good because next up we have Damian Priest versus Tama Tonga. So one half of the tag team champions was in action this week when Damian Priest took on Tama Tonga. This was originally scheduled to be a tag team match with Tala and R-Truth included, but Truth was not cleared to compete this week. Tonga attempted to get an early advantage by attacking Priest before he could get his jacket off, but the former world champion didn't let him have the upper hand for long. The Archer of Infamy almost hit the razor's edge after the break, but Tama turned it into a sleeper hold with a great counter. This was a pretty physical match between these two with some nice spots, but it felt they slowed down more than necessary in the second half of this match. Priest picked up the win with his South of Heaven clothesline. There was no interference from the MFTs, but Tala and Solo Sikoa showed up after the match to attack the winner. Again, like I said, I kind of feel bad for Damian Priest. I even feel bad for R-Truth. Like R-Truth, his comedy will always keep him with a job as long as he wants. He can be a general manager in TNA. He can go over to NXT. He can go to AEW, or he can stay in WWE. He'll always have a job because of his comedy and because he keeps himself in pretty fair shape. Ronnie is 60 years old almost, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and still looks as good as he does, still able to move like he does in the ring. I don't know anybody that's in their 50s that's still able to do splits like that. Like, that's stupid. Makes no sense whatsoever. We'll see what happens with that. Danhausen performed another experiment backstage, but it was unclear what his goal was with this one. Next up, we got another women's tag team match. This time, Michin and B-Fab versus Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. So, Jade Cargill accompanied Michin and B-Fab to the ring so she could give a promo about how she will regain the women's title from Rhea Ripley. Charlotte and Alexa cut her off with their entrance music. Then there was a commercial break between the verbal exchange and the match, so it looked like all four women were just standing around during the break, which is always a weird decision whenever WWE does that shit, and I hate it. Michin and the Queen started in the ring, and Flair quickly drove the opponent out of the ring to regroup with B-Fab. Michin, Flair, and Bliss were all solid in ring workers, but B-Fab has so much less experience than all of them that it made a noticeable difference whenever she was the legal competitor. Now, again, she's still trying to find her way, but she better be careful because that chopping block from WWE comes pretty quickly. The match had a clunky pace and wasn't structured in a way that allowed any of them to look great, but they managed to get in a few good spots. Cargill ended up causing a DQ when she pulled Bliss out of the ring and attacked her right in front of the referee. Flair and Cargill end up having a showdown once everyone else was taken out, but they didn't get physical. That is a money match if I ever seen it, but I know what WWE is going to do because you got to have Rhea Ripley right now in a main event. But I promise y'all, SummerSlam, Charlotte Flair, Jade Cargill, and Rhea Ripley for the WWE Women's Championship. You can bookmark that. That's happening. And Charlotte Flair probably will walk away with the championship. It would not shock me at all if Charlotte walk away with the title. Funny segment happened here. Sami Zayn met up with Johnny Gargano, who is still depressed, laying on one of those shipment boxes. And everything he said was spot on, but WWE meant for it to sound like meaningless complaining. Zayn was right about everything he said, though. Next up is the main event of the evening, folks. It's Gunther versus Royce Keys. So this week's main event was the number one contenders match that was booked earlier between Gunther and Keys. Gunther is rarely considered small compared to anyone, but Keys had him outsized and overpowered right out the gate. So the Ring General began to show some frustration. They had enough time to make this a hard-fought match that helped highlight why both men are in this position. In some ways, this was a test for Keys. So he passed with flying colors. He looked like he belonged in the main event picture scene. Good for Royce Keys. Sokoa showed up in an attempt to help Keys when the ref was accidentally taken out. He tried to slide in the chair to Keys, but he threw it back in Solo's face. The momentary distraction allowed Gunther to take control and hit his power bomb for the win. Solo tried to help Keys. He's been trying to recruit him to be a part of the MFTs. Not like there even needs to be an MFTs group, but he did try that. And it did not work, and he cost Royce Keys. You will see those two in a match here very soon down the line, which I don't hate that either. But again, like I said, all in all, I would say that was a good B+ show. It did have some down spots, some down moments, but all in all, I do think that it did entertain. I can't wait for SmackDown to go back to 2 hours fully. Like I said, I think that's going to be the best for them, and like I said, it'll help the show not be as long. So let me know what you guys' thoughts were on this show. Thank you all so much for tuning in and for watching. Make sure that you guys like, share, and subscribe to the show and the podcast. Next up will be the Sunday Stunner that will be coming this coming Sunday. You guys don't want to miss it. Live and direct, 7 o'clock Central. Appreciate you guys. Until next time, keep those book and pencils sharp